Call to order this regular meeting of the Coralville City Council. It's Tuesday, June 9th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Knutson? Here. Vogelsang?
Here.
Wynn?
Here.
Peterson?
Here.
Freeman?
Here.
All are in attendance, as is the City Administrator Hayworth, City Clerk Johnson, City Attorney Olson, and many valued staff in the audience. A motion to approve the agenda, please.
So move.
Moved by Wynn,
Second.
second by Vogelsang, and all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda is approved. We have something special here because, just a minute, I'll bring it up. We did not have any timely proclamation requests tonight, but there are several noteworthy celebrations coming up that I'd like to have Sherry Proud, our Director of Parks and Recreation, come up to highlight, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We have some things going on that we want to make sure the community knows about. First, the annual Firefighter Memorial Service is, this is the 31st year for those memorial events, and these pay tribute to the dedication and sacrifice of firefighters in Iowa, both who have served and those who have fallen in service. 129 names will be memorialized on the wall this year, this weekend. A candlelight service will be held on Saturday night, June 13th at dusk, approximately 9 p.m., and the memorial service will be held on Sunday, June 14th at 10:30 a.m. And both of these will be held at the Iowa Firefighters Memorial at 1 Russell Slade Boulevard. This is in the Coralville Park System and is a partnership between the City of Coralville and the Iowa Firefighters Association. Second, we wanted to bring attention that Pride Week is coming up next week, and Coralville is a sponsor of Pride Week and partners with Iowa City Pride to bring the Pride Picnic and Pool Party to St. Morrison Park on Wednesday, June 17th. Picnic and games will be from 5 to 8 p.m., and the pool party will be from 5 to 7 p.m. The picnic is free, and pool party admission is $4 per person. There's also a number of events across the community, June 15th to June 20th, including Iowa City Pride Festival in downtown Iowa City from noon to 9 on Saturday, June 20th, starting with the Pride Parade at noon. And then finally, Coralville is a sponsor of Juneteenth celebration in St. Morrison Park, and I just got an update from Royce-Ann Porter on that, so I want to read that from my phone. She writes, "Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and residents of Coralville. On behalf of Royce-Ann Soul Food, the Black Voices Project, and the City of Coralville, I'm excited to announce Bringing Freedom Home, Coralville's Juneteenth celebration. Join us on Saturday, June 20, from 1 to 6 at St. Morrison Park, 1513 7th Street in Coralville for an afternoon of community, culture, and celebration. This free, family-friendly event will feature free food, music and line dancing, community resources, family activities, and fellowship and community engagement. Juneteenth commemorates the emancipation of enslaved African Americans and serves as a time to honor our history, celebrate our culture, and strengthen our community." And several residents had expressed a desire to see Juneteenth celebration return to Coralville, so the committee was put together to bring those activities together. And she invites everyone throughout Coralville, Johnson County, and surrounding communities to this event on Saturday.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Next is number 4. This portion of the meeting is community comments. It's an opportunity for members of the public to speak directly to the council about items pertinent to the City of Coralville and does not have a scheduled hearing. Open meeting laws do not allow council to engage in discussion or debate, but we do appreciate hearing your thoughts and concerns. So please step up to the podium, sign in, and stand close to the microphone and speak for no more than 5 minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Allison Bywater. I have been a resident of Coralville for 5 years, and I plan to be for many more years. When members of this community asked leadership in Coralville to recognize a Pride Month, a request that honestly should not have to come from the community, it should come from leaders sitting in front of us, that request fell short again and on the shoulders of LGBTQ people and those who love us. And while we are disappointed that leadership did not meet this moment with the courage and care it deserves, we are not surprised by the deeper truth that this revealed. Our community has always known how to show up for one another. So this evening we are offering a People's Proclamation recognizing Pride Month in Coralville. This proclamation was written because pride has never depended upon permission from people in power, and we bring forward in a spirit of truth-telling, love, accountability, and collective care. We gather to honor LGBTQ people in Coralville and beyond, and to proclaim that our joy, our safety, and our belonging are not conditional. If the city will not speak with courage, the people will. A People's Proclamation recognizing Pride Month in Coralville, Iowa. Whereas pride was born not from permission, but from resistance, not from comfort, but the courageous insistence that LGBTQ people deserve to live fully, freely, safely, and joyfully. And whereas the people know that our liberation has never been handed down from those in power, but built by those most impacted in living rooms, classrooms, bars, shelters, sidewalks, protests, chosen family, mutual aid networks, and everyday acts of care. And whereas LGBTQ plus people in Coralville and across Iowa have continued to create beauty, belonging, art, kinship, safety, and possibility, even when institutions have failed to protect us, recognize us, or tell the truth about what we are facing. And whereas queer and trans people are not symbols to be celebrated when convenient, nor community members to be consulted only after harm has been done, but neighbors, workers, students, parents, elders, organizers, artists, healers, caregivers, and leaders whose lives and labor make this city more whole. And whereas the strength of LGBTQ communities has never been measured only by survival, but our capacity to imagine otherwise, to make homes where we were told we did not belong, to build families beyond narrow definitions, to turn grief into action, and to insist on joy as a practice of freedom. And whereas Coralville's LGBTQ residents and allies deserve more than a symbolic recognition, they deserve public leadership that is courageous, accountable, and willing to stand with queer and trans people when it is politically difficult, not only when it is ceremonial. And then I'm going to let Tara take it from here.
And whereas LGBTQ plus liberation asks us to tell the truth about the ground we stand on, who has been allowed to belong, who has been displaced, whose stories have been honored, and whose harms have been ignored, knowing that freedom must be collective or it is not freedom at all. And whereas pride asks more of a city than rainbow language, pride asks for material commitments to safety, dignity, housing, healthcare, education, bodily autonomy, public participation, and freedom from discrimination for all LGBTQ plus people, especially those most targeted by state violence, racism, transphobia, ableism, poverty, policing, and exclusion. And whereas the people know that it has always been us who save us, not because those in power are absolved of responsibility, but because our communities have long understood how to care for one another when systems refuse to. Whereas we honor the LGBTQ plus people who stayed, those who left to survive, those who are still deciding, those who are exhausted, those who are afraid, those who are organizing, those who are resting, and those who are making life possible for others every day. And whereas we refuse a pride that is only palatable, polite, or performative, and instead claim a pride rooted in truth-telling, collective care, defiant joy, and the belief that every LGBTQ plus person deserves not merely to be included, but to flourish. Now, therefore, whether or not those in power find the courage to meet this moment, we, the people, proclaim Pride in Coralville as an act of love, resistance, memory, and accountability. We proclaim that LGBTQ plus people have always belonged here. We proclaim that our joy is not up for debate. We proclaim that our safety is not a courtesy, and we proclaim that the future of this community will be shaped not by the silence of institutions, but by the courage, care, and imagination of the people. Proclaimed this 9th day of June, 2026. Signed, the people of Coralville and surrounding communities, LGBTQ+ residents, families, friends, neighbors, and allies. And we're going to leave this at the podium for anyone that would like to sign it. The community is welcome to sign it. Can I thank you? I just wanted to add that as we understand that Black liberation, trans liberation, gay liberation, queer liberation is all bound up together, we would like to acknowledge that the Juneteenth has always been proclaimed since 2022, just as Coralville has always proclaimed Pride as far back as the agendas go on the website, back to 2011. And so acknowledging that, we appreciate hearing about the Juneteenth celebration in Coralville. I will also be attending the Juneteenth celebration by the African American Museum of Iowa. It's on June 20th from 12 to 6 p.m., and you can find out more information about that on their website, blackiowa.org. So, please sign as you may.
Can we borrow your chair, or do you think you can reach the microphone? I just want to make sure everybody can see you too. I can lean down to talk next to you. All right, there you go. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Ruth Walser, and I live in Coralville.
Hi, my name is Clara Reinen, and I also live in Coralville. I was nervous to move from Iowa City to Coralville until my friend Ruth told me some of their favorite things.
I like how many friendly faces there are. I like how fun it is to walk around. And I like the nice places. But some people do not listen to us. And some people do not care about the things we love. And that's why we are here today.
Thank you. We want to live in a community that celebrates everyone. Ruth showed me a lot of really good things about Coralville, but I'm sad that celebrating Pride officially isn't part of that.
Yeah, same with me.
Ready? If we all work hard together, we can accomplish this together. Here, do you want to sign this too, Ruth? You can sign it wherever you want with your name down there.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Walliser. I've been a citizen of Coralville for almost 5 years now. I am here as an advocate and ally for some friends and family, lots of friends and family, who are members of the LGBTQ+ community. I was aware of some messages that were going back and forth between some members of the community and some council members to try to understand why the proclamation for recognizing Pride Month had not been made or wasn't on the agenda. Best as I was made aware, again, as Tara said, the agendas on the website, they go back to 2011. It had been made every year. And it kind of, it seemed like a bit of a trend over the last several months. I was aware of also some friction, some resistance around the Trans Day of Visibility. And so I'm here tonight to speak to all that and express my desire for the council to be more proactive in the future and to, especially in this time that we're living in, the discussions on the national level, the verbiage on the national level. And some people might wonder, well, why is a proclamation so important around this specific topic, especially my child who just bravely got up and spoke. Just, what was it, like a week or two ago, we were in the car and listening to the radio, and they were talking about the new policy at the federal level of the military and transgender people in the military, and how they weren't going to be allowed to serve in the same way as non-transgender people. And it prompted my child to they noticed that and asked, well, why? Like, why is that? And so that, in my mind, is a great example of why it's so important to be proactive in creating a community here in Coralville that where we're outwardly and proactively pushing against that and celebrating LGBTQ pride. So again, my request for all of you on the council is to try to be more proactive and standing up for the celebration of the community. And so thank you for your time, and have a good evening.
We asked people to sign in. I'm not sure if you see that paper.
Number 5, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Solomon. Good evening. Happy Pride Month. Last week I was reading an article in the Gazette. It was a coverage of Johnson County Supervisor V. Fixma Rice's recent primary win. But I was angered looking through the comments section to see a number of transphobic comments. And among the nasty jokes and a lot of purposeful misgendering, I noticed that one of our own Coralville police officers, Joshua Van Brocklin, had joined in by liking and replying to a transphobic comment. So I wanted to share my doubts about Officer Van Brocklin's judgment, if he thinks it's good to be engaging in this type of behavior online. Officer Van Brocklin, as some of the public may be aware, is known for his role in shooting a Coralville man during a 2020 welfare check. It's disturbing to see a local police officer with a history of violence participating in bigoted behavior online. I would like you to imagine, as an LGBTQ plus person, how safe it feels to live in a community where an armed official publicly joins in ridicule of their identity. So for this reason, I'm asking the City Council to accept and join the proclamation, the People's Proclamation, but also ask the Mayor and Council to denounce Officer Van Brocklin's behavior and work with the police chief to make sure that officers behave more respectfully to citizens of all identities. The city needs to do better. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shelby Seagrand. My pronouns are they, them, and I have come to discuss pride. The city of Coralville has not given a proclamation for Pride Month this year. The importance of Pride Month cannot be understated. Pride is not just some silly little holiday. Visibility and representation saves lives. This is especially so when it comes to the trans and non-binary community. Being able to go out in public spaces and experience queer joy by seeing people who are just like you gives an individual a sense of hope, and it gives them a sense of connection to their community, which is a rare thing, especially at times like these. A part of that feeling of hope during Pride Month is knowing you and the queer community as a whole are supported by your government and elected officials. I have never attended a Pride festival where I haven't seen politicians and city councilors walking in the parade or having a tent of their own at the festival itself. I'm not sure if anyone on this council is planning on attending Pride, but how incredibly hypocritical would it be if you were to sit here and put deliberate blockages in the way of getting a Pride proclamation and then go and pander to the very people you are refusing to recognize? To be clear, a Pride proclamation is more important and a more impactful demonstration of allyship that the queer community needs. It was not that long ago that city councils across our nation were endorsing anti-LGBTQ plus legislation. to limit the freedoms of openly queer people. People were being jailed for being queer. The AIDS epidemic wiped out a generation of queer people. And there was a general villainization of queer people in general.
We have about 1 more minute.
Okay. The federal government is currently broadcasting information saying that to be radically pro-transgender likens you to a terrorist. I want to pose a question to all of you on the city council. Is that the side of history that you'd like to be on? Would you like to be sided with something like that? Or would you like to stand with your constituents and be a better person? Thank you.
My name is Amanda Green, and I've lived in Coralville for years. I went to school at the University of Iowa. I grew up in Clinton, Iowa. I am raising my children in Coralville. It's been said that people support civil rights right up until it starts looking like the present. And that I find that to be incredibly true even in this room. Mayor Goodrich, I sat here a few months ago when right before elections you made a pandering comment that you just wanted to note that you supported LGBTQ plus people. And it was a pandering comment, and I felt that, but I also appreciated it because literal lives are on the line. The last speaker mentioned a publication from our White House, which mentioned radical pro-transgenderism and ended with the statement, "We will find you and we will kill you." The state of Mississippi in about 2.5, 3 weeks will implement legislation that police officers can pull drivers over, and if they have what was lawfully updated their license to a gender marker that doesn't match what the police officer assumes to be their gender or sex or anything related in the rainbow category, they not only confiscate the license, but they turn them over to ICE. These are literal lives. It is not about pandering. It is not about popularity of votes. It's about keeping people alive. I really hope that you consider that when you think about the words that you choose and the things that you do to back them up.
Good evening, Council. My name is Dan Cobble, and I'm a Coralville native. And I just came out tonight because this is more than about more than a proclamation. This is about the culture within Coralville and Coralville government. And I mean, there are lots of fantastic things about Coralville government. I think the Parks Department's awesome. It's great that they're partnering with Pride events. But I think the reluctance of the leadership for Coralville to have a Pride proclamation is very problematic. And Mayor Goodrich, by refusing to honor years of precedent by not having a Pride declaration, you are sending an explicit message to Coralville residents and Coralville government employees that queer residents do not matter. I would like to take this opportunity to put a focus on one particular Coralville government employee who probably supports the mayor disrespecting the local queer community. That man is Coralville PD Detective Josh Van Brocklin. Detective Van Brocklin has worked on Coralville PD for several years and has a very powerful presence on the force. He also has very toxic beliefs about policing and the marginalized communities he is supposed to serve. In 2020, Detective Van Brocklin shot a man twice in the chest while conducting a welfare check. While he was cleared of civil and criminal liability, the fact that he shot a man he was supposed to be assisting is a damning indictment of Coralville's mental health services. Detective Ron Van Brocklin is a prominent member of the Iowa Fraternal Order of Police, which has lobbied against police oversight and supports discriminatory policing actions. Detective Van Brocklin goes by Josh VB on Facebook and regularly posts and interacts with posts on that platform. The account is very clearly him. I have been told that the profile picture is the vehicle
Dan,
he
you
drives
have
to work.
1
In
minute.
2024, Detective Van Brocklin, Mayor, I will finish. In 2024, Detective Van Brocklin commented that verified allegations of transphobia against UIPD Detective Ian Mallory were, quote, defamatory. Mind you, the conduct Detective Van Brocklin was defending was Mallory's deliberate targeting of trans demonstrators, charging several for acts committed by numerous non-trans folks. That is textbook transphobia, something Van Brocklin seemingly condones. Josh VB regularly interacts with posts about numerous topics. He has laugh-reacted to comments mocking undocumented immigrants and queer individuals. He has liked transphobic posts about Johnson County Supervisor V. Fixmere O'Rise. Just this past week, in the comment section of a Press Citizen post on Facebook, he liked a commenting stating that Iowa City is an embarrassment. This was for extending sex discrimination protections to trans individuals. In that same comment section, Josh VB also posted a skull and crossbones under a photo of a confused-looking Alex Jones, indicating that he thought the transphobic Alex Jones gif was funny. Mayor Goodrich, what you do matters. What you support matters. By refusing to have a pride declaration, you are sending a clear message to bigots like Detective Josh Van Brocklin that this city is all right with their behavior. Your constituents deserve so much better than to be represented by a government which believes that supporting queer residents is an embarrassment. Thank you, and thank you for this very beautiful pride declaration. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Good evening. My name is Guillermo Morales, and while I don't reside in Coralville, I am an ally of those who are here in the audience today. And allies don't wait for those for whom they serve as allies to do the work lifting up the stories and concerns. Allies listen carefully and take some initiative to do some of the lifting. You should not need a request or require a reminder to help lift up recognition and appreciation for our Black community for Juneteenth or for our LGBTQ plus community during Pride. We know these communities continue to be attacked at every level of government, whether it's the state's denial of the rights for trans folks or Coralville Police Department's ongoing disproportionate stops, ticketing, and arrests of Black folks and other folks of color. People in our community continue to be marginalized and detrimentally impacted by government action. I was on the Coralville Police Advisory Board for over 2 years, and I saw the data demonstrating a trend towards greater disproportionality, not less. I was a founding member of the county's Trans Advisory Committee, and I'm not trans. I'm just trying to be an ally. And I urge you all to be good allies and to do some of the heavy lifting yourselves.
Hello. It's this thing. I didn't mess it up, did I? I have history with that. Hi, Mayor. It's pretty wild we're having the same conversation we had 11 weeks ago to the date. Last time, I need to stop messing with that. Last time, I just chalked that up. I gave you benefit of the doubt. I was like, you know what? she's just a feckless coward. She doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't care enough about her community. She's just a coward, you know? I mean, we can accept that. But now here we are 11 weeks later, and crazy, wild, once again, you're refusing to do a proclamation for queer people. So, I mean, 2 times, it's a pattern. It's like, you're just a bigot, is that it? Is that like why you refused to do the proclamation? I mean, I can't think of any other reason. I mean, we just had this whole ordeal 3 months ago, so you should be well aware of why proclamations are important for a community under attack. And yet, here you are making the conscious decision to, once again, not even, and last time you issued the proclamation after much work, and now you're just refusing to do a proclamation. What's the public supposed to take from that, rather than the city's ran by a bunch of bigots? And as the previous speakers talked about, we have a police department overrun with bigots, given badge and the gun to enforce their bigotry. Yeah, you should be deeply ashamed of yourself and try not being a bigot.
Hi, my name is Michael Roberts. I'm here today to stand in allyship with members of the LGBTQ community who have come out to do the work that the council should have done to protect members of the community. I believe that those of us who occupy positions of privilege and power, either because of our identity or because of our being seated in elected office, we bear an even greater responsibility for showing up and doing the work that the community has come here to do today. I also believe in restorative justice, which recognizes people's ability to learn from their mistakes and take tangible actions to repair the harms of their actions, or in this case, inaction. I hope to see such actions from the council in the future. Do better.
We have heard from you already.
I was hoping, since I was up supporting my friend Ruth earlier with her public comment, I would be able to give my own. Thank you. Like you've heard from me already, my name's Clara Reinen. I recently moved from Iowa City to Coralville for a lot of reasons. One of the appealing things was that I could get more square footage in an apartment for less than I'd be able to find in Iowa City, which I was actually quite excited about. I feel like the place I'm in now compared to what I would be paying for something similar in Iowa City is quite a stark difference. And I'm enjoying Coralville so far, but it's kind of a confusing place. Because when you mention Coralville to other people, they say, oh, high's great. And that's Coralville to a lot of people. Aside from 2nd Street, which just has like businesses, I didn't even really know there were neighborhoods in Coralville. Like, genuinely, I've had a great time riding my bike around, getting to know the little like nooks and crannies, all the little side streets. And I just think it's really sad that Coralville's outside perception is so different than what my experience has been getting to know community members. I've had an easier time making friends in Coralville than I did in Iowa City. And I think there's a stark juxtaposition there that really highlights something that the city itself is doing wrong. That when you hear about Coralville, you hear about the businesses, you hear about business, you hear about bad cops, and trust me, there are bad cops everywhere, but Coralville seems to have an abundance of them. And so I'm just wondering what you all can do better to make Coralville seem like a place people would want to live and not a place that they're resigned to live, that they like to live once they actually get there. And just one little anecdote that I'll end with that I think is really highlighting this point is the first time I came to a Coralville City Council meeting was when we were speaking out against Flock. And I remember at that Coralville City Council meeting, there had been a young gentleman who built a deck, and his deck was just like maybe a few feet longer than than the permit allowed. And the first thing I asked my friends when I moved to Coralville is, whatever happened to the deck guy? You guys made him tear down his deck. Like, really? You guys are so willing to get stuck on this minutia that doesn't matter. And then you make somebody tear down a deck that could have been a wonderful community meeting spot. That gentleman even spoke in his comments about how he liked to have people gather there, how people wanted to gather there. And instead of allowing a community member to have a new third space, a new space where people could gather, it seemed to me that City Council was more worried about procedure and appearances instead. So I would encourage you to think about that in combination with what everyone else has said. Thanks.
This will be our last statement.
Hello, my name is Angela Verblitis, and I've been a Coralville resident for about 3.5 years now on 5th Street with my partner. I work as an informal educator through a local nonprofit, and as such, I've been introduced to lots of very impactful children's books. In honor of Pride Month, I'd like to share with you some lines from this very relevant book, Be a Bridge, by Irene Latham and Charles Waters. This book talks about how members of a community can and should be bridges for each other to ensure everyone is being equally respected, no matter their differences. The lines I'd like to share read, "When someone else is speaking, pay attention to their words. Listening takes courage. Let every voice be heard. Be a bridge from fear to trust. Be a bridge between them and us. A bridge is love, and love is you. Take a chance. Imagine all the good you can do." After attending only a handful of City Council meetings since March, I can safely say I see no bridge being built between you and the LGBTQ+ community here. Mainly because we seemingly have to fight just for recognition, first with the Trans Day of Visibility, and now the entire month of Pride. I implore you to work on building your trust with your community here. Right now, this council isn't taking any chances or having the courage to simply recognize your increasingly marginalized constituents. Please do the right thing and make a Pride proclamation like you have for the past 5 years, according to past agendas. And if you still decide not to have a Pride proclamation, even with everybody here who has been telling you they just want to be seen, you at the very least owe the entire community an explanation as to why exactly you refuse to recognize Pride. Thank you for your time.
Okay, we will be moving on to number 5, well 17, financing. This is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing on a proposal to enter into one or more water revenue loan agreements and to borrow money thereunder in an amount not to exceed $4,500,000. Is there anyone who would like to speak to us about this? If there is anyone who would like to speak to us about this, are there any written?
No written.
Okay. I'll close the public hearing. Consider the resolution, please.
Resolution taking additional action on proposal to enter into one or more water revenue loan agreements. This resolution introduced for adoption by Councilmember Knutson, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Peterson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Vogelsang?
Aye.
Wynn?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Knutson?
Aye. Resolution passes all ayes. And now C, consider the resolution to pay for authorized costs in connection with planning and designing well 17 project.
Resolution taking additional action with respect to a water revenue loan and disbursement agreement and authorizing, approving, and securing the payment of a $390,000 water revenue loan and disbursement agreement anticipation project note. This resolution introduced for adoption by Councilmember Vogelsang, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Nguyen. Discussion?
Just a real quick question. Were these part of the budget amendments we just passed in the last meeting, or is this part of FY
This will be part of next fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wynn,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Knutson,
Aye.
Vogelsang.
Aye.
All ayes, resolution passes. Number 6, Recreation Center project financing. This proposed $1,500,000 taxable general obligation renewable bonds, Series 2026B, to finance a portion of the Recreation Center project. Consider the resolution, please.
Resolution authorizing and approving a loan agreement and awarding the sale, providing for the issuance of taxable general obligation urban renewal bonds, Series 2026B. This resolution introduced for adoption by Councilmember Wynn, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Freeman. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Peterson.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Knutson.
Aye.
Vogelsang.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
All ayes, resolution passes. Number 7, capital improvement projects financing. This proposed $1,700,000 general obligation bonds in Series 2026A to finance capital improvement projects like utility improvements, street improvements, and flood protection remedial projects. And the public hearing was held on March 24th, 2026. Consider the resolution, please.
Resolution authorizing and approving a bank proposal and awarding the sale of general obligation bond series 2026A. This resolution introduced for adoption by Councilmember Peterson, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Wynn. Tim Oswald is here with Piper Sandler, Ann is here with our finance director.
So we received, for this particular bond, 26A, we received...
Could you speak a little louder? It's noisy outside.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For this particular bond, we received 3 bids. We received from West Bank, First Interstate Bank, and Hills Bank. Tim Oswald with Piper and Sandler analyzed the bids, and it's recommended that we accept the bid from Hills Bank at the interest rate at 4.2%.
Any discussion? Thank you, Ann. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Freeman.
Aye.
Knutson.
Aye.
Vogelsang.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
All ayes, resolution passes. Number 8, Forevergreen Road Extension Phase 1 between 12th Avenue and North Liberty Road. Bid report.
Yes, this was a project that was bid through the Iowa Department of Transportation. They received 5 bids, and the low bidder was Peterson Contractors, Inc. of Rhinebeck, Iowa, in the amount of $2,782,925.86. The engineer's estimate was $3,542,921. So we have worked with Peterson on numerous projects. They're a very good contractor, including the diverging diamond that they got done way much earlier than it was scheduled to be done. So we would recommend approval of Peterson Contractors in the amount of $2,782,925.86.
Thank you. And how about that resolution?
Resolution accepting bids and awarding the contract for the Forevergreen Road Extension Phase 1, subject to the Iowa Department of Transportation concurrence. This resolution introduced for adoption by Councilmember Freeman, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Vogelsang. Discussion? Anything you want?
I just wanted to ask a question. So you said we've worked with Peterson before and they've done a good job. Are there usually a lot of change orders, or is it usually pretty straightforward?
We'll go ahead.
Yeah, it's
You guys
usually
will-
been very straightforward.
Okay.
So it's been a very good relationship.
So like we could trust pretty close. There's a positive difference on our side
Yeah.
towards the budget for
Yep.
this. Okay.
Yeah, the next lowest bidder was 80,000 higher.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Knutson.
Aye.
Vogelsang.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Roll call, all ayes, resolution passes, excuse me. Number 9, utility fees and deposits. As part of the FY 2027 budget, certain utility rates and fees were changed, and this ordinance implements those new rates and fees for water, solid waste collection, delinquent utility account administrative fees, and utility account deposits. Consider the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 26-1006, an ordinance amending Chapter 102 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Coralville, as previously amending regarding water rates, solid waste collection fees, administrative fees for delinquent accounts, and utility account deposits. This ordinance introduced for third and final consideration by Councilmember Knutson, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Quinn. Roll call, please, or discussion? Yeah, we've talked about this a few times, so roll call, please.
Councilmember Vogelsang. Aye. Quinn.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Knutson.
Aye.
All ayes, ordinance passes. Number 10 is the Memorial Wall expansion, number 2. And this agreement outlines the Iowa Firefighters Association and the City of Coralville's duties and obligations for additional granite panels and walls featured for the Memorial Wall Expansion 2 project at the Iowa Firefighters Memorial. We'll consider the resolution first, and then we have Sherry Powell here to speak with us.
Resolution. Sorry, I'll get to the.
Or we can have Sherry
Oh,
Powell
no,
speak
no, I
with
was,
us first.
you're way ahead of me.
I'm sorry.
Resolution approving a construction agreement with the Iowa Firefighters Association for Memorial Wall Expansion number 2. This resolution introduced for adoption by Councilmember Quinn, seconded by.
Second.
Okay, second by Peterson. Now, can we listen to Sherry Proud will explain this to us?
Thank you,
Thanks.
Madam Mayor. The reason this agreement is necessary in terms of a construction project for the city of Coralville is that at the Iowa Firefighters Memorial, we own the grounds, we own the building, we own the walkways that lead up to the memorial walls, and the Iowa Firefighters Association owns the walls and that area. So that's why we're doing this agreement. We last did a wall expansion with the Iowa Firefighters Association in 2009, and that was the set of walls that you see to the very top. Beside at the very top is the ultimate wall of sacrifice, those who've lost their lives in a firefight. Then this was the walls built in 2009. These are the original set of walls. There's this new set of walls would align right between them, and this has been their plan to do it in this way. They have engraved 120 to 140 names per year onto the wall, and they have about on the back side of this panel. We are at about 6 years left before there's no room left. So they're trying to get a jump on that now. I think that's, they will pay for all of the expenses in this, and we'll also do the restoration of the ground where it's impacted.
That's wonderful. We're so fortunate to have this in our community and to be able to honor the firefighters.
It's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
Even if you have no connection to any firefighters, it's really a beautiful space to go and wander, especially if you're in a contemplative mood and just want to, be somewhere. Even though it's right by First Avenue, you do kind of just block that out and just enjoy the walkways and the seats and benches.
Thank you so much for working with them. Anybody else want to say something? Yeah.
How many
Mike?
years will these two walls buy us?
6 plus 15, somewhere in the range of 21 to 20 to 25, probably. Okay. Yeah. The first walls were filled up pretty quickly because they little fire departments all across the state of Iowa submitted their names. So those first panels filled up fairly quickly. Now they're doing it either as people retire off their fire service or in celebrations of some different things. So it's slowed down a little bit.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Peterson.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Knutson.
Aye.
Vogelsang.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Fifth Street Social. Do you want to stay here, Sherry? Consider the resolution approving the 2025 agreement with City Coralville Park and Recreation, authorizing their use of public right-of-way for the 2026 Fifth Street Social.
Resolution approving the agreement with Coralville Parks and Recreation, authorizing the use of public right-of-way for the 2026 Fifth Street Social. This resolution introduced for adoption by Councilmember Peterson, seconded by.
Second.
Okay, so, yep, second by Wynn. Anybody want to discuss with Sherry, or we look forward to this?
Yeah.
Tell us the date again.
This is our 8th year of the Fifth Street Social. It is on Saturday, August 8th. It's always the second Saturday in August. And it runs from 4 to 10 p.m. and is on the screen I've got pulled up from 6th Avenue. The purple runs from 6th Avenue, and normally the Beverage Garden stops at 10th Avenue. We've gotten a lot of comments about how they would like to see, people would like to see that extended through the whole area of Fifth Street Social. And we've gotten more traction of having events on the west end. So that's the reason why that's being asked a little bit farther. And then we're going to move the Classy Chassis Car Show on 10th Avenue just to the north, and they specifically asked to not be a part of the Beverage Garden. So that's where, so they'll be right to the north of that area, still involved in the area, but just the Beverage Garden will cut off there. And yeah, it's a great night, food, fun. We've got the live stage. This year, our main act is Bird Child. They're a premier variety cover band, playing 80s, 90s, and today. And one of the things I liked out of their promo materials said that they aim to create dancing with infectious energy, and I loved that. So we also have the Classy Chassis Car Show, huge kids zone. Last year we had a game zone and those for a tween and teen age activities. We had a dessert. We had both food vendors, but we also had dessert row, and we feature the craft beers of Johnson County in the Beverage Garden. It's free and
Everyone's welcome.
Everyone's welcome.
Everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. We need roll call, please.
Councilmember Freeman.
Aye.
Knutson.
Aye.
Vogelsang.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. 12, non-bargaining pay scale. This increase of 3.25% on July 1st, 2026 is for employees not covered by a union contract. Consider the resolution, and then we'll hear from Lynn Knight, our HR Director.
Resolution approving an increase in the non-bargaining pay scale effective July 1st, 2026. Resolution introduced for adoption by Councilmember Freeman, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Peterson, just because it's your turn. All right. Lynn?
That was his turn.
We're just presenting this to thank you for having me here too, Madam Mayor and Council. We're introducing this for consideration. All of our 3 union contracts also have been approved for the 3.25 across the board increase, and we feel that it's fair to the non-bargaining employees to request the same.
Okay. Anyone have discussion or questions?
Isn't this historically, that's what the city normally do, is trying to have the same
Yes,
increase?
that's my understanding.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Knutson.
Aye.
Vogelsang.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
All ayes, resolution passes. 13, workforce housing tax credits. This grant is for 2 32-unit buildings located at 2879 and 2881 Spring Rose Circle, with the city pledging in-kind support of $1,000 per residential unit for up to 64 units. Resolution, please.
Resolution of support for the application of Grand Rail Development, Inc. for funding via the Workforce Housing Tax Credit Program and pledging city monies for the same. This resolution introduced for adoption by Councilmember Knutson, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Peterson. Discussion?
Yeah.
No, I was just that.
I was going to just bring up what was shared, and
Okay,
I requested information just to have an understanding, further understanding from the last meeting, because we also passed this on the last meeting. So I asked more about the mix of units and about the rent. So these were a mix of for rent and for sale, correct?
Correct.
Do you know the split?
Mr. Bales is here. He can
Yes.
give you the split then.
Okay.
So.
I'm Mike Bales with Venture One LLC, and I apologize, Kevin, I gave you Grand Rail, but Grand Rail's who's building it.
Okay.
It will be Venture One LLC if it's approved.
Yep.
The mix depends on the market. So basically, the last several years, we've put them for sale and for rent, and it kind of depends on what the market dictates.
Okay. So do you want to share what the rents are? Because I have
essentially the rents would range from $1,400 for a one bedroom up to just under or right around $2,000 for a large two bedroom, and that two bedroom is 2 bedrooms, a den, and then like a double deck. So there's like 5 different floor plans. So we have a varied price point for different occupants, and then for the sales. I'd actually sent 229 to 284.9, but it's actually 219.9 to 284.9. And again, that ranges from the one bedroom to a regular 2 bedroom to different styles.
Okay. And I just to share with you all, I did a little bit of math. So to afford the one bedroom apartment, and this, I'm sorry, is not directed at you. This is just in general. To afford a $1,400 apartment, you need to make a gross annual salary of $80,000. And in order to afford the 2 bedroom and the den for rent at that 1975 price point, you need to make just under $113,000 gross annual salary. So I wanted to have that all out on the table.
How'd you come up with those numbers?
I took our affordable housing definition is no more than 30% of your income is spent on housing. So I took the 1,400 divided by 30%. That gets you to like 68 something. But then that's net income, and so if you wanted to compare it to gross annual salary, I divided by 0.7 to include for taxes. So that's how I got to $80,000 and $113,000. And so I wanted to ask too, like if the workforce housing tax credit doesn't happen, is that going to stop the building of this building?
It won't necessarily stop it, but it would slow down the progress. Part of the impetus of going forward and starting the planning with 2 buildings is that, and what that can do is help lock in the pricing. So even though, we're somewhat past some of the uptick from the tariffs and different things, there's just annual rates and different things. So when we can lock in and plan, then we get passed on price holds, and we pass those on to the pricing.
And is it fair to say what impact it would have on how quickly those buildings go up, if any?
Again, it kind of comes back. So a little bit of chicken and the egg, right? So the more interest we have, the faster they go up. The lower the price is, the more interest we have. And so I really can't give a definitive we've been trying to do one a year. In the past, we've done a couple because there's been more interest. Obviously, as prices have gone up and different things, we've seen a real negative effect on the sales. And these are, in the Johnson County area, the least expensive new construction properties for sale. And so, we're trying to put inventory into the market that doesn't exist. Not that other people couldn't build them, but they haven't. We've been doing that. And so, we're just trying to offset some of those effects. If we can rent and sell and fill them faster, then we can do more.
Is the pricing of the units any less based on getting this grant?
It's not any less, no.
Will it be more if this grant doesn't happen?
It could be on the second building. So it kind of comes into play. If we got this grant, then that gives us comfort to move forward with the second building quicker, and we can lock those prices in. I don't want to be absolutely definitive because, you know, what happens if prices don't go up? I mean, the chances are price, you know, lumber, materials, they constantly go up. When we can lock those prices in, we can go forward and keep those prices steady on the second building, which is the goal.
Yeah, so you talk about demand, right? You have to have demand in order to keep price down, in order to, and that would determine how quickly or how slowly the building go up. So let's say if this grant doesn't happen, that means that the price for these units potentially could increase, so that will slow down demand.
Say the last part again.
So if this grant doesn't happen,
yes,
that means that the price for these units potentially will be higher.
For the second building.
So that will drive down demand.
That could. It could.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And then this may be for Kevin and Kelly. Is it typically the city pledge about $1,000 for per unit for workforce housing?
Yeah, that's the state requirement.
The requirement.
And in our particular case, we've been able to do that in lieu of. We do not actually pay it in cash for the units. And I think we've only done one in all the time that we've actually paid it in cash, and that was years ago at the Watts property on First Avenue.
Can you explain a little bit more of what does it mean by in lieu of? So instead of like write a check for, I don't know, $32,000 for 32 units?
It's for we can value any amenities and work that the city does in conjunction with the overall development. And so whether it be green space, trails, all of those things would count.
Okay.
Speaking of trails, for the record, I'm trying to connect the trail up to the Costco, Walgreens, Aldi's area. And I know Kelly's looked at that a little bit, and I think that would be a great way for that whole area to just be able to walk. You know, there's a nice trail that goes by the pond back there, but it's kind of dead ends. And there used to be a road that went up to that area where you could walk to the Walgreens or to the Aldi's. There's a couple of restaurants up there. Yep. So,
Mike, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, you bet.
Would there be an amount of money we could give you that would actually reduce the rent rates?
It would be substantially more than this.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that, you know, because if this isn't going, I mean, I have a little bit of a hard time. So this grant money helps the developer,
sure,
and the people paying the taxes back to us are either owners or they're paying through rent to you, and you're paying our taxes. So I have a bit of a hard time with understanding that, because if I look at, let's take the average service worker in Coralville, right? They make between $13.50 an hour to $15 an hour, and most places won't let you work actual full-time because they don't want to give you benefits. So let's do the math out at 36 hours a week and go out from there. They're making $25,000 a year, okay? They would have to have a place for $600. I'm not saying this is your problem, but I'm just saying, like, there is actually a need there, but maybe not at this price point. And so I have a hard time voting. I'm going to have a hard time supporting this if we can't find a way to, like, make this reach the need of the people that are here.
And a true affordable housing is a completely different discussion.
Yep.
I grew up in Iowa City, city housing on Broadway Street. Very familiar with city housing and subsidies. Very attuned to it. What this allows us to do, like I said, I'm not going to oversell it. I'm going to tell you what we're using it for. It's to keep the prices from continuing to escalate.
As in the construction prices, or as in-
Construction prices, basically everything. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it helps us keep the rent prices where they are without, continuously escalating. I mean, I think we were talking earlier about some, sorry, I think I'm conflating an earlier conversation about some increases year over year, 4%. Anyway, what it does is it helps us keep those from escalating to the normal inflation rate, I guess would be the best way to say it. So.
Okay.
Mike, you're just simply talking about market-driven decisions.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
You're responding to the market.
Correct. Correct.
I get that.
I have one question as
Yes.
well. So you say some of these are for sale as well. You could buy a one-bedroom unit or a two-bedroom unit. Is that correct? Some of the units are for sale?
Yeah, they would all be for sale or rent, yes.
Okay, I'm just curious, like, what would one of the units, I just asked, like a one-bedroom unit run to buy?
$219,900 to start.
$219,000?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, we need to,
Actually, I do
keep
have
it.
more question if
yes,
that's okay.
you may.
Okay.
It's just the council, sorry.
And now I lost my train of thought.
Okay, take a minute.
Who accountability, whose shoulder is the accountability fall on to make sure that these unit are for workforce? Like, how do we determine that? So let's say if you sell or rent the unit, how do we know that it's geared toward workforce?
Well, the definition is not, we didn't come up with that. That's the state.
That's the state,
They call it the workforce housing tax credit. All I can say is that on the rental side, so my wife owns a management company called Brotherton Investments, and she manages about 450 units right now. And people that are buying these, renting them, generally $80,000 is not what they're making. They're usually making considerably less than that and renting these units.
The theory when the state of Iowa developed this program was to provide additional housing. It wasn't anything to do with cost. And the last report I saw from the state was that they are still lacking 25,000 units, they feel, in the state of Iowa. And so that was their goal when they set up the program. And the only restriction that they did was put a restriction on how much could be spent per unit. And that's what the developer has to certify to the state.
And then maybe, Kelly, maybe you can speak a little bit about how this is different than the low-income housing federal program?
Yeah.
Just so that, folks have a better understanding of the differences between the two.
Sure. The low-income LIHTC is the tax program that requires you to have a certain rent to be able to get to those tax credits. That's a federal program that's passed through the state. That has income guidelines restrictions. This one is through the state of Iowa strictly, and it was developed to create new units. The theory being create new units, the ones that become available if someone were to move from one unit to another, is that the unit they're leaving would be more affordable.
And this particular grant can also be rehab, right? It can also use for rehab as well?
Yeah, you could if you did a minimum of 4 units. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, interesting conversation. Thank you, Mike, for joining in with us.
I would ask that we
Yeah.
have a motion to amend the resolution to include, is it an LLC, Mike?
Oh.
LC,
the name.
Venture One
I
LC?
apologize. Yeah, it's Venture One LLC. Grand Rail's the builder.
Okay.
So Venture One
Okay,
LLC.
we'll just add that
It's
to it.
the same ownership group, it's just I'm sure it's a
Do
tax
you want to
thing.
read the resolution again?
So we had just, so I read it, it had Grand
Uh-huh.
Rail, so
Yeah.
if I could have an amendment.
Motion to amend,
Okay, and then
to
have-
change Grand Rail Development to Venture 1L.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we need to vote on this. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Vogelsang?
Aye.
Quinn?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Freeman?
No.
Knutson?
Aye.
Okay, all ayes except Freeman voted no, so the resolution passes. 14, consider motion to approve the consent calendar as presented, or, and it's from A through EE.
So move.
Moved by
Second.
Quinn, second by Peterson. Thank you. City Administrators Report.
yeah, vote on that.
Oh, we need to vote. Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Quinn?
Sorry.
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Knutson?
Aye.
Vogelsang?
Aye.
Thank you.
All ayes. Motion passes. City Administrators Report, please.
Yes, Mayor, just one item tonight. The Goodwill of the Heartland, as most of you know, has a soy oil packaging plant in Coralville. It's out on Highway 6 in western Coralville. And they have done good work for many years, and they use disabled individuals to repackage soy oil, and then it gets sent around the world. And they had disruption in their process, for about, I believe, a year and a half, 2 years, when President Trump did away with the U.S. aid program statewide or nationwide. The good news is this last month, in May, the USDA, Department of Agriculture, took over the funding sources that they were getting contracts for in the past. So since USDA has taken over that funding source, they have been able to receive 3 contracts so far to do 680,000 packages. And so the good news is that they will start hiring additional disabled individuals, and it appears that there's going to be several more opportunities of contracts for them in the future. So I just thought that was good news to share, that program is back up and running, and more individuals will be hired, and then this gets sent around the world for people to benefit from. That's it, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We have mentioned opportunities for activities in June, and you can go to our website to see many more at the library and the rec center also. Just a reminder, it's really been hot outside, and if you need a place to go, the library and the rec center are open to everyone. 14th Avenue, just south of 9th Street, is closed for sewer repairs, just a portion of that for a couple weeks. And prepare for the local option sales tax July 1st. And anyone who's wondering, has any questions about that, that is on the website, and it's pretty interesting to look over all of that, whether you're buying or selling. There's lots of helpful information there. And just want to remind everyone that the 4th of July is coming up, and we're having every year a 4th Fest parade, and they're accepting entries. That is also on the website. City Attorney's report, please.
I have nothing, Madam Mayor.
And next, I think we'll start with Rich, please, for council. Yep, please. For
Middle here.
council members' report, in the middle.
A
Yeah.
few announcements from Parks and Rec Department. Part of, again, the 4th Fest is having a 5K run and walk. The registration deadline for that is, in order to get your T-shirt for that event, the deadline for registration is tomorrow, June 10th. The event is Saturday, June 27th at 8 o'clock. It departs from the Coralville Rec Center. You can register up through that date of the date of the race, but you won't necessarily get a T-shirt. So there's your incentive. Music on the Move is another event happening on Wednesday, June 17th from 6:30 to 8 at the Hilltop Shelter in S.D. Morrison Park. Jeff Capps and Tara McGovern, a folk rock duo called the Soft and Low, will create songs for your enjoyment. So bring a chair and enjoy that music. Again, that's on June 17th, 6:30 in the evening. On June 21st, Parks and Rec also celebrates the summer solstice with a summer polar bear swim starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock to 8:30 in the morning at the Aquatic Center. And that's on June 21st. Just a reminder that the Aquatic Center is open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And on Saturdays and Sundays, it's from noon till 6 p.m. So there's more information. All the information is available on our website at coralville.org/parksandrec. So there's that. A few other things I want to talk and just kind of mention. I remember I mentioned it our last meeting, but I just want to mention it again. The Memorial Day service that we have in Coralville at the cemetery it's an annual event. It's a very moving event, and it honors the men and women who have served in our country's armed forces but are no longer with us. The thing that really impressed me about that ceremony is the reading of every veteran's name, and in doing so, it really honors their service and their life. So I just want to express my appreciation for that event. A few other things going on in June. June 6th, obviously, was a remembrance of D-Day. That was a tremendous event in our history. 34,000 American troops came ashore that day, plus another 23,400 airborne troops landed during that battle. There's a total of 10,300 Allied troop casualties that were either killed, wounded, or missing. So, I know memories fade over time, but it would be a great tragedy if that event would ever fade from memories. June 12th is Women's Veterans Day. On June 12th, 1948, the Women's Armed Services Integration Act was enacted, and which that act allowed women to serve as permanent regular members of the U.S. Armed Forces. So that's a date sometimes people tend to forget about, but it's an important date to remember in our history. June 14th is coming up. It's Flag Day. Obviously, it commemorates the adoption of the official flag of the United States of America, and we're all encouraged to display that flag as well. One other thing that happens it's commemorated in the month of June. The month of June is PTSD Awareness Month, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. PTSD is often kind of connected with and talked in connection with troops who have experienced combat or combat veterans. There are others who also, I think, need to be mentioned. PTSD can happen to anyone. We're all subject to experience traumatic events in our lives. But I want to mention emergency services also. Emergency service professions are not for everybody, but those are the people who run into situations when other people run away. PTSD, I want to make reference to not only the veterans, but to law enforcement, those who are involved in law enforcement, those who are involved in EMS, emergency medical services, EMTs and paramedics, firefighters, any first responder, and that also includes dispatchers. Dispatchers are a often forgotten element in emergency services, but they're the first ones that receive calls and interact with callers. So there are many people with PTSD that don't seek help but should, and treatments are available. And I would encourage anybody who's experiencing some issues to please reach out and seek treatment. So, thank you.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a few things. So the library have a summer reading kickoff last week, and 867 people came and registered either in person or on Beanstack. The library would like to push that number to 1,000. So if you have not registered for summer reading program, get yourself, your family, or your kids and register for that program. They have great prizes, and you have until July 31st to turn in your record. So the plan for this, not the plan, the theme for this year is Plant a Seed, Read. So the library partner with the rec center to grow food in all of the raised bed around the library. And then also they make some raised bed out at Northridge Pavilion Park. And those are for community member to come and harvest them, pick something, plant something, water it if it's too dry. It is for the entire community to enjoy. So I would encourage folks to go check those out. Let's see. The pantry also have a garden around the space, and those are also for community member as well. So feel free to utilize that. They kick off their summer lunch program today, the first day of summer lunch, and they serve 145 people. Out of the 145, I think it was 80-something children. So it was a first successful day. We invite the community to come and eat lunch with us. Tuesday to Thursday, any folks who have children can come and eat with them, 18 and under. And then on Friday, anyone in the community can come and eat with us. And it will go on for 45 days in the summer. So the entire 12 week of summer. The only day we're not serving lunch is Monday, Saturday, and Sunday. So come eat with us, and on top of lunch, there's also a lot of different activities for everyone to enjoy as well. And thank you to community members, thank you to local organization and city government for partnering with the pantry to make that happen for kids and family in the community. June, every month there is something to celebrate in our community. And June is no exception. There are many, many things that we can celebrate as a community in June. So June 19, Friday, June 19 is Juneteenth. And if you are not familiar with Juneteenth, I would encourage you to go do a little bit of digging and educate yourself. Juneteenth is the day that we remember that our neighbor, our black neighbor, who for almost 100 years did not have their freedom. And so that is a day that celebrate the freedom that was fought hard for and won by our black neighbors. So without that day, we would still have folks who, we would look down on. Doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, what religion you are, we are all equal. And we need to remember that. And the whole month of June is Pride. And I have to say that I want to apologize for not being proactive. I was not feeling well the last couple of weeks, and that is no excuse, but usually I'm on top of these things, working with my colleague to make sure that, we recognize these things in our community. And this time around, I was not on top of that. So I apologize for not working on your behalf. Thank you to community member who showed up, to speak, to let us know that we have failed you. And I personally apologize for that and promise to do better. Thank you.
Bryce Peterson, please.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to apologize for missing last month's meeting. I was very much under the weather with a respiratory infection, and my mom currently still has it after a month. So, just all I want to respond to is, the community and stepping up and giving us your thoughts. And I will say this and mean it 100%. I've always believed in civil rights and human rights. I believe that is, it's a human right. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm very upset with the laws that have been changed. I've expressed this numerous times before on a state level and federal level. So I will always stand with our marginalized communities and human beings in general. So stand with you. So, and I apologize, but I have a very personal reason I will not be able to stay around for the work session tonight, Mayor and Kelly, everyone. I just want to let you know. So thank you.
Katie Freeman, please.
So first, I just wanted to share an update. We had Arts Commission meeting last week, and we talked a little bit more about, what kind of the commission's ideas are around more bringing in more visual arts into the commission. And so the first step we're going to be taking is myself and Evan are going to be working on what it would look like for an intern to come help just log all of the sculptures that we have and public art that we have in Coralville already, just to flush out the website, what's already up there. So we were going to sit down and just talk through that and hopefully get to utilize some of the students over at the art department in the university. And then to my community, I want to say Happy Pride. It is hard fought, and it will never be over. Sitting up here, I take it as a great honor that most of my community has stepped up to support me, not only by voting for me, but also in showing up and understanding the things that most of my colleagues don't have to deal with on a daily basis. So I just really thank you very much. And that's all I've got tonight.
Mike Knutson, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Katie, for making me follow that. That was very nice. I also want to thank everybody who showed up tonight and voiced their support of Pride. I certainly want to do that, and like Kai, I want to apologize that that proclamation wasn't performed tonight. Hopefully it can be performed in 2 weeks. I do want to defend Lori to some degree here. I reached out to Megan. Megan seemed like we did 3 proclamations a night, and she took care of them and handled them very well. So I was curious as to what the process was, and somebody had looked at our policy, and we're supposed to get a request and an example proclamation like a beautiful one we had here, and then they work with the mayor to read it. And Mayor Foster, former Mayor Foster, told me that almost all the time she had requests. And never had to do it on her own initiative. And I have, that didn't happen tonight for a couple important proclamations. We didn't get those requests. I could very easily see myself overlooking them if I were mayor. I apologize, wasn't proactive. But there's a little bit on the community for doing that, I think is what I'm saying, for putting in those requests and advocating for your cause. And I am certain that if that had happened, Mayor Foster would have read those proclamations. Having said that, not all proclamations are the same. And certainly want to emphasize that there's a couple this month that, in my view, are certainly in these times and conditions that we live in are more important than some of the others that we read, and I won't pick them out. But Pride and Juneteenth are very important to our marginalized communities that we need to continue to support more. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Moved by Peterson, second.
Second.
Second by Vogelzang. Roll call, please.
You can use the voice vote for that.
Voice vote, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody in favor? This meeting is adjourned.